What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video is going to be on the newest, beatback raid challenge, which is HIS Raging Blade Lufenia fight. Now before we do start, as always, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel and I would really appreciate it. Now without further ado, let's start this video. Now as always, we'll start this video off on how you're going to deal with the Lufenia orb. This starts at 100% of the boss's HP and will disappear when the boss's HP reach less than 80%. This will reappear when the boss basically stands up, so this is actually when you hit less than 60% of the boss's HP. It will recover all the way up to 100% of his HP afterwards. Now, in order to get the Lufenia orb up, you need to delay the boss. So this actually is a pretty generous Lufenia orb counter. You get 15 as soon as you do at least one delay. So it's a pretty generous. It's not that hard. There are a few characters that can do this. Aranea, Garland, Cloud, Quistis, and Lightning can fulfill this role. Alright, so now that we know how to deal with the orb, how does this fight works? Now, as I already mentioned, the boss will stand up when it reaches less than 60% of its HP and will recover all the way up to 100% of his HP. The Warrior of Light mannequin will use his LD ability, which will give both enemies a shield and will also provoke your team, as well as hitting you with a huge AoE HP damage. The boss counters magic attack as well and will instantly KO you. There is a work around this. There is a little bit of luck involved in it, but I will mention that later in this video. Now, while he is bipedal when he stands up, he will gain an aura later down the track. This basically will let him use Fog Up Plus, which basically will KO your character regardless of what buff you have. Also, the boss cannot be knocked back and will absorb the light and dark elements. Now, let's talk about how you're going to deal with this fight. Now, the biggest thing here is obviously delay is going to be a big part of your strategy. This actually helps with the Warrior of Light mannequin, making sure you don't get hit by the LD ability. Of course, the boss's turns as well with the Lufenia orb. And in order for you to push the boss past enough or further enough that the red aura while he's bipedal to disappear. This actually takes quite a few turns, so delaying is going to be a big part of your strategy. Now, one other thing is, I think bringing a tank to reduce the AoE HP damage by the Warrior of Light mannequin, if it does end up getting to that point, is actually pretty useful. You can actually get away with not bringing a healer as well and just using a Call healer if you can reduce those HP damage. Some Call abilities like maybe Ramza can fulfill this role. Aerith can also revive as well as heal. Unfortunately, she can only heal one target, but if I guess it's in this video, it was enough for my team. So if you don't plan on bringing a tank and you would rather have like a healer / brave battery, that is also an option. Now, the biggest thing here is using magic attacks, right? I already mentioned that you cannot use it or else you will be countered and instantly will be KO'd. But the workaround to this is actually applying the Confuse debuff or paralyzing the boss. Now, unfortunately, the boss is actually immune to paralysis. However, Ramuh's paralysis is different. So you can use Ramuh's paralysis to get away with using magic-based attacks. Alright, now let's talk about the characters you can bring. There's obviously a list here that will be trying to avoid magic-based attack because honestly that actually requires a little bit of luck. So Squall, Cloud, Garland, Mog is that luck character that you need to bring, whether it's him on your main team or a Call ability Mog in order to apply the Confuse debuff. he is going to be a very key part if you are a key part of your team if you are planning to bring magic based characters. Other characters like Lightning, Balthier, Lena, Ramza, Seven, your own Warrior of Light is going to be pretty helpful here as well. Again, if you are planning to bring magic based characters, you need to apply the Confuse or Ramuh's Paralysis, so the boss won't be able to counter you. Now, I've already repeated this so many times, but I just want to emphasize it on this video. Now, as for the call characters, it kind of remains the same. You have Jack, Anya Knight, Aerith, Amethyst Lion. Machina is still alright for damage. Gabranth, Penelo, Mog, if you are again planning to use magic based attack, you can use Mog. Cloud, you can actually delay as well. There's just quite a few options here when it comes to call abilities. Alright guys, now let's take a look at some party composition examples. First off, my team includes Squall, Garland, and Bosch. Honestly guys, I went with Bosch to avoid the bitter end LD ability from the Warrior of Light mannequin. However, Bosch didn't actually absorb the AoE damage, I believe, because it is considered a splash damage rather than an AoE HP damage to everyone. So I think that's the whole reason Bosch's AoE absorb damage didn't actually end up working. If I had a choice, I probably would have used someone else. Like I said, bringing your own Warrior Light is another option. That probably would have been much better for me. Plus, Warrior of Lights, if you have Warrior of Light EX, then obviously you can heal a little bit of the damage. And for the call team, I have Amethyst Lion, Gabranth, and Aerith. I already mentioned Aerith earlier, actually saving my run. I wasn't expecting to get HP damaged from my other party teams, because Bosch can heal himself, however cannot heal everyone else. So having Aerith there to heal actually made me reach the requirement for the HP damage. So yeah, for the summon, I have Ramuh obviously, and for my support, I did end up bringing Cloud for that extra delay. Next up is a team that consists of a magic-based character with Sarah, Lightning, and Garland. The call team here is Jack, Amethyst Lion, and Mog. You really have to get that Confuse up with Mog, unfortunately, or else it's most likely going to be a dead run. Put Mog on Sarah so you can apply that Confuse during her turn, or at least try to. Support here is Garland, and summon is going to be Ramuh as well. Ramuh is basically going to be used once you are in bipedal mode, basically, because if you're using only Mog as a call, you might end up using both Mog calls to apply the Confuse. So yeah, I would just suggest having Ramuh here. So even if you use up all your Mog calls in the first phase, or the quadruple pedal phase, anyway, you know what I mean. Basically, when it's in bipedal mode, you can use Ramuh and end up not getting countered. And finally, the third team that I would suggest for you guys is going to be Arnea, Lightning, and Ramza. The call team for this one is Cloud, Gabranth, and Jack with the Garland support, and Ramuh for the summon. This is a pretty straightforward team. Basically, you're taking advantage of delay and extra turns for Lightning as well as just in case you've got Cloud as your call to further delay. Ramza unfortunately cannot knock back on this one, but he can still delay the enemies, so it is worth noting to have Ramza in your team. The reason why I didn't put him so much in the first part of this video is basically because I feel like you're not using Ramza to his full potential with the knockback, but he still can fulfill that Lufenia orb. Anyway guys, I think that is pretty much for this video, but of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this fight. Now, honestly, I managed to beat this not too not too bad. Obviously the team that I went with wasn't optimal, and the main reason for that is basically I didn't really realize that Bosch wasn't going to be able to, you know, absorb all the HP damage. That was a pretty close call, if I do have to say so myself. I had to let the Warrior of Light or Warrior of Light mannequin do a couple of turns on me, and you know, that could have been a dead run, but I managed to beat it. And unfortunately as well, like, my team wasn't as offensive as I would like it to be. I didn't have any good, like, you know, party auras, or like I had to rely on a lot of the debuffs from my cold team as well in order to do extra, you know, brave damage. A lot of those are issues with the team that I went with, but it is still doable. I still managed to do it, as you guys can see. So yeah, if I had to go do it another time, I would probably use a different team to be a little bit more optimal when it comes to damage. So, you know, in saying that, even though I didn't get a suboptimal or an optimal run, I should say, the fight itself wasn't too bad. As long as you can delay, then you shouldn't have any issues. If you can get extra turns as well, that should be no issues as well. There are just so many characters that can delay, that makes this fight so much easier than the previous Lufenia that we got, especially the Abyss Lufenia. That was too restrictive. This one just opens up a little bit more. So anyway guys, I think I will end the video right here. Please do remember to click like and subscribe again if you haven't already. It does help the channel, guys, and I would really appreciate it if you can share this video as well for, you know, other friends or players that you think are struggling with this particular fight. Yeah, follow me on Twitter and on Facebook as well at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below what your team was, and if you had to use a magic based character, let me know how you had to deal with it. Did you end up using Mog in your main team, or did you end up having Mog as your call? Let me know down in the comments below. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next level.